said, hola, como esta? She said, konnichiwa. She said, pardon my friend. She said, bonjour, madame. And then she says, say, and I say, no, lay. No matter where I go, you know I love them all. She said, hola, como esta? Said, konnichiwa. She said, pardon my friends. I said, bonjour, madame. And she says, I say, and I say, no, lay. No matter where I go, you know I love them all. I'm feeling kinda young, I'm feeling reckless. Let me hold you, let me grab you by the necklace. I'll show you what the good loving and sex is. It turns you on when I got you feeling helpless. And I'ma eat you up for dinner, lunch and breakfast. Bring your friends along cause they are on the guest list. We can fool around I'm breathless. Hold off the drinks, how my body feeling selfless. She's telling me this, she's telling me that. You said you take me with you and you never go back. Now I got a lesson that I wanna teach. I'ma show you that where you from, it don't matter to me. She said, hola, 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 como esta? She's hola, 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 hola. You know I love them all.
Hello. Welcome to Loaded Mag NUFC. Welcome to Fully Loaded Transfer Show. Squad game even. Welcome, everyone. You'll notice there'll be a few different changes here to the setup tonight as we try to get a bit creative during the international break. We're going to have this comments run down the side. So that means, Chris, when we go to the smaller screen, we're not going to be blocking whoever's in the spot you're in, and we go to any super chats or any good comments from the chat as well. We bring them up on the screen. But welcome everyone to Squad Game. We've gone early. The season is over, or is it? Yeah, look, decisions need to be made, and we need to get ruthless. But Pete, how are you?
I'm good, lads. Few days rest, away from football. I feel semi-refreshed. Different mindset, ready to tackle Squad Game tonight. I'm looking forward to it. It's good to be back on with you boys again. So yeah, happy days. Mrs. is away. Lucky gets to go and enjoy some sunshine and beach and all the rest of it with my daughter and me and the boy. We have some boys time, but he's in bed. Randy's out. Easter holidays have begun. Cheers to you all. Let's get it rolling. Chris, how you fella? How's things? We were gonna ring you as well. We were gonna ring you.
Nice. Yeah, do you know what? Yeah, totally. Do you know what? All day I've known Squad Game 8 o'clock, and then literally it was about 10 to, and I was like, shit, I've got to get me coffee. Then Lisa was like, oh, I'll have a cup of tea. I was like, okay, I'll make you a cup of tea. And someone's like, oh, can you get me cake out? So then I got someone's cake out, and then I was just rushing. It's just typical me. But no, like you, Pete, I think we needed that little break, didn't we? We needed that little break from the football, and it's actually turned into quite a big break, as it turns out. No club football now for a little while. So yeah, I think it's been a nice break and a little bit of reflection time, and also, you know, I feel like it was a great shout from you boys to do this Squad Game now, because I feel like now is a good time. Now that we're in that, you know, that place where we've got that little bit of time to reflect. We're now probably looking forward more so than looking back. I think there's not really much point in looking back. Obviously, there's lots and lots of links. I turned X off before. I was looking through it, and it was just like linked with about 100 players. Apparently, the whole squad's leaving. It's just like, oh God, it's definitely that time of the year already. But I'm going to try and keep out the white noise. Great that we can have a little look ourselves at a Squad Game and obviously have the viewer interaction as well. So yeah, really looking forward to tonight's show. And 4 more days for me, Pete. 4 more days in work, and then I'm off Good Friday, Easter Monday, and then I'm off the following week. So 4 days. Daz, how are you doing, mate?
Chris, I'll see your 4 days and I'll raise you 3. Because 3 more days, I'm taking the Thursday, the Friday, and the Monday off as well. I'm not as good as Pete, but close enough. So yes, but I'm not too bad, Chris. A bit of a mental. I haven't had a proper conversation with you, Chris, for a long time. I've been telling Chris I'm helping out with my son's under-9 soccer team now, so I'm kind of a coach there. And they had a tournament today, and they did very well. Won both the matches, and he got his goal, so he's happy out. Then as well, I think I might have told you, Pete. I'm not sure at the end of the show, but I'm kind of taking over coach manager's GA team as well, and that's back as well. That was on yesterday, so busy time. So, but yeah, enough of that. Let's get into this squad game. If you are new to squad game, boys, is a new rule that I thought of 30 minutes ago as well. Right. So the rules are for squad game, and you're going to play along at home as well. This is interactive, and we'll take your thoughts into consideration as well. The idea being that, let's say we said Wissa. You can say hashtag keep Wissa, hashtag sell Wissa, hashtag deal. If a good offer came in for Wissa, deal. Hashtag loan Wissa. We thought loaning them out was the best thing to do. Or if you thought hashtag get out of my club Wissa, that's what you put in the chat. Okay, that's how you play along at home. Okay. And the new rule, boys, for us here. Oh, stay quiet for now. The new rule, boys. As I said to me, came to me 30 minutes ago. I was in the shower. Where all the best ideas come from. You're in the shower.
They are.
We each have one of these. Let's say there's let's say myself and Pete wanted to keep Wissa. Okay, using Wissa still as an example. And Chris said, "Oh, we really need to sell Wissa." But Chris is outnumbered here in this situation, so we wouldn't want Wissa. But what we've introduced, each of us have one of these, and it's a golden buzzer. Okay, and you boys know where that buzzer is, that buzzer button, right? You know where to find it. Go on, Chris, give us an example.
Hang on. Let me find it. Right there. Wait. Hang on. Oh. I thought I did, but I don't.
There, you found it. Okay. So what happened then is that I create a quick poll for the chatters while we move on to the next person. And by the end of the next person, we go back and see what the decision was. And we take the two options into consideration. So we put one of those each, or we don't have to use them at all. Right. So that's, little new dimension. Let's get into it, boys. Let's go to squad game. So this is squad game. So we built this for Loaded Mag in UFC. The club are where they can purchase it off us if they wish. Let's go straight in to squad game.
Oh, I like the way it's got a landing page.
Yeah, landing page and everything. I think if I do it a little bit bigger, it's too big. Let's deal with it that size. Okay, so we've got all the players down along the side here. Okay, all our players, and we're going to put them into the categories as we said. So again, keep and wants to stay, hashtag keep. Sell or wants to leave, hashtag sell. If the price is right, hashtag deal. Needs game time, hashtag loan. Get out of my club, hashtag get out. Let's go, and it's in the squad number order, boys. So we'll get straight into it.
Okay.
Nick Pope. Okay. What are we doing with Nick Pope?
Well, fella,
talk to me, Pete.
Oh, I'm quite happy to go first. I think for me, it's very clear to me, and I think a lot of Newcastle United fans, that Nick Pope is no longer number one. Eddie Howe has made that clear by benching him for Aaron Ramsdale. For me, I'm keeping Nick Pope, but Nick Pope is going to be demoted to number 2 in my eyes for my squad next season. That's the way I see it currently. I think if there was a great offer there, I think Newcastle would consider it. But it would mean then getting 2 new goalkeepers, which I think is a lot of work and a lot of turnaround for the club. Just my opinion. So for me, I'm going to stick with my original thought, is keep Nick Pope, but he shifts to number 2. So I'm going to hold that there. But Chris, you might have a different perspective on that. Talk to us.
I have the exact same mindset as you, Pete, because let's be honest, without any spoilers, we do have a lone keeper who is up in the air, and I'm sure we'll get to. We have a goalkeeper who's on loan in Spain, who I'm not quite sure will end up staying at Newcastle United. We also have a very, very veteran goalkeeper, who is probably, and rightly so, is third choice goalkeeper. And then we also have a bit of a training goalkeeper who I was smiling as when you were explaining the golden buzzer rule, because I thought I probably might use my golden buzzer on him, but we will see. Right, yeah, no. So for me, Pete, absolutely. I mean, let's be honest, boys, and I get why you're toying between the two, Pete, because let's be honest, I think Nick Pope should stay. But if someone comes in the summer and goes, we'll give you 10, 15 million for Nick Pope, we're probably going to consider it, let's be honest. Yeah. But is somebody going to do that? And that's the thing. So for me, I agree with you, Pete. I think he is probably in the keep and wants to stay, because I think he probably will want to stay as well. I think he'd probably want to fight it out for that number 1 jersey. But it very, very clear here, boys. Going into next season, there needs to be a new number 1. There has to be a new number 1. It's non-negotiable. It's non-negotiable. So, yeah, for me, I think we keep him.
Okay. Interesting to see some of the comments coming up on the screen here as well. A lot of people were saying sell, a lot of people were saying to keep, when we kind of explain the logic behind that. And now see Niall there saying that this is the time to be ruthless. But, boys,
true.
I'm not going to use my golden buzzer for this one for Nick Pope. He doesn't deserve it for me, but I'm going to keep him for that logic as well. Too, I'm also happy to send him in deal if a price came in. But I don't think we're going to get a great price. So I'm agree with you. We're keeping Nick Pope.
Okay. Now, out of interest, stars, are we going to go shirt number or are we going to go position?
It's shirt. I've set it up for shirt number just the way I put it. But we can just. For goalkeepers, we might just stick with and do, it's easy to identify them with the blue jersey. We could just do all keepers together, because in that kind of. So let's move to our keeper and move on away. We'll go back then and follow the logical order then after that. So next up is John Ruddy. What are you doing, John Ruddy? Chris, you go first there, John Ruddy.
Okay, mate.
You look like John Ruddy. Was that the comment that was made before in the?
I don't. Do you know? Yeah, the only thing is, me and John Ruddy, we have something in common. So I've got a little sticker of John Ruddy on my iPhone, and John Ruddy is donning a Newcastle United dressing gown, which I own, and he also, it looks like he's got the same pajama bottoms as me as well. So me and John do have that in common. So yeah, do you know what? On that basis, I don't think I can let John Ruddy go. I think John Ruddy stays, and the reason I say that is, we hear all the time, don't we? He's great behind the scenes. Let's be honest, boys. We're not going to sell or let go of 4 goalkeepers this summer or 3 goalkeepers this summer, because then that means we've got to bring in 3 goalkeepers this summer, and I just don't see us doing that. John Ruddy's not going to have a big impact on the squad. He's not going to have a big impact on the first 11. So it would not surprise me if John Ruddy stays. So for that reason, and I can't see anybody coming in with a bid for John Ruddy, because I don't think he's that highly sought after, with all due respect to John Ruddy. So I think John Ruddy will stay. That is my feeling on John Ruddy.
Peter.
I love some of the comments in the chat. You probably see them on the way down. Mr. Linkfield's gone #get out. Rebelers, #coach. Sophie's gone goodbye, Ruddy goodbye. But yeah, there's a few others. Truls has gone get the F out, or I think it's something along those lines. Brilliant. But look, for me, I'm trying to be ruthless, but equally, there needs to be a third goalkeeper. If there's one, if Max Thomas potentially comes back, is it Max Thompson? I think it is. If he comes back, off his loan and can potentially be third, then I would get rid of him. You know what? I'm going to say get rid. I'm just, for argument's sake, I'm going to get rid, and the reason being is because I just think the goalkeeping ranks just needs a complete overhaul. It just needs an overhaul. I just think Players just need to move on. So I'm going to say it. We need to transform that. And I would, Max Thompson, I would like him to be given an opportunity to be a part of the goalkeeping network. A young goalkeeper that's come through the academy, given the opportunity to be number 3, learn off the 2 goalkeepers that are above him, and hopefully that develops him on. It can't be any worse than John Ruddy, surely. Let's be honest. Look, John Ruddy's had a good career in his eyes. Played Premier League football, represented England. You know, I'm not being disrespectful in what I'm saying, but like, let's give youth a chance. Max Thompson, here's your opportunity. Grab it. Ruddy, goodbye.
Chris, I must come back to the sticker thing. I can clear it up for viewers. It's not a physical sticker you have stuck to your phone. I know it's a sticker, a virtual sticker in the message, because that would have people wouldn't be able to sleep at night thinking that you have a sticker of John stuck to your
no.
Okay, and I have to say I agree with Pete. Get out of my club, John Ruddy. There you go. Give the viewers what they want. Get out of our club.
I'm not gonna use my buzzer for that, boys. I'm not gonna use my buzzer.
Good.
I think we wasted, Chris.
I was gonna say, don't waste it 16 minutes in.
maybe in 17 minutes he will, though. Here he is. Next up, Mark Gillespie. Pete, we'll go to you first on this one. Let's.
I'm just going to be really quick with this one. Mark Gillespie has the best job in football. In fact, best job in the world, right? Gets paid 10 grand a week for literally doing nothing. He turns up to training, has a few footballs smashed at him as a bit of a practice. He goes home, he has lunch, he spends time with the missus and the family, he gets to go out on the lash during match days, he gets to go in the away end and support the boys. Like, it's the dream. Let's be honest, it is the dream. But at times, as we all know, dreams come to an end. And it comes to an end this summer, because I would much rather, in all honesty, that 10 grand being put somewhere else, towards a first team player that's actually going to contribute to our first team performances. So yes, it's time to go. Mark Gillespie, you've had a great innings at Newcastle United, not really doing a lot, but that's where I'm at. He's gone.
Do you want to go first, Chris, or will I?
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, this is going to be a controversial one from Chris, because he's already holding back.
His next sticker on his phone, I think, is Mark Gillespie.
Well, yeah, I'd have to see what
pajamas
he's got. Yeah. No. In all seriousness, I'll level it up. And again, it's going to go back to the same reason. And Pete, you described it incredibly well. Like, Mark Gillespie has got the best job in football in the world, whatever he has. And again, it kind of goes back to my original point in that I just don't see Ruddy going. I don't see Vlachodimos going. I don't see Gillespie going. I don't see them all going. And Ramsdale. I just do not see it. And I just think I said this to you boys last season, didn't I? And it happened. He stayed, and I just can't see him leaving because, again, apparently he's absolutely fantastic behind the scenes, and obviously he's a local lad. Would I be crying into my cornflakes if he went? No, I wouldn't, and I'm certainly not, saying that he's going to be a huge loss to Newcastle United, because I don't think he will if and when he does eventually go. But I just see him as our Scott Carson, and I don't know his age actually, but I think he's probably mid-30s, and I just feel like he's probably got a few more years left in him. And our new number one's going to need a partner to train with. So on that basis, I think Mark Gillespie's going to stay. But I'll leave it up to you, mate. I will leave it up to you. But I will remind you and Pete, when the news comes out, when Newcastle United announced that Mark Gillespie has signed a new 1-year deal, I will remind you both. But let's see. Go on, Daz. What do you think?
Mark Gillespie, get the fuck out. That's my commentary. I'm sick of him. He does nothing. Like, no offense to the guy, he's probably a lovely guy, and I'm sure he actually is. But he's done nothing for us, and it's not his fault. Look, for me, it's get out of my club. But Chris, you can use the buzzer if you wanted that, or you can save it for another stage.
It would be unprofessional of me to use my buzzer for Mark Gillespie, even though. I do think a lot of Mark Gillespie. I'm not going to die on a hill for him because there's probably a more warranted player who deserves my buzzer. So I will leave it, but I will remind you boys at the end of this goalkeeper section. I will ask you a question because I know where this is going. But anyway, carry on, boys. Carry on.
Let's go next to our loan signing. Aaron Ramsdale, is available for 20 million if we wanted to pay that, or maybe it'd be a haggle a bit. But what are we doing here?
For me, lads, look, I've made this clear for weeks, maybe even months now. Aaron Ramsdale for 20 million just does not make sense for a second choice goalkeeper. He's certainly not coming in as my first choice goalkeeper. He's not my number one, far from it. And I just think 20 million for a goalkeeper that's likely to be second choice is just not good value for money. It just isn't, being honest. If you could, and I don't know if I said this live, but I raised this to you boys, I think a while back. If you could get Ramsdale on another loan for a season, you could probably take it. And if he was happy to be number 2, you'd probably take it. But to be honest, for me, I just don't think with the wages that he's on, what is it, 120, 130 grand a week he's on, for the wages he's on, even a loan just may not even be worth it, if I'm being honest with you. So for me, Ramsdale, Rambo, fair play. You know, you've loved your time at the club. He said it numerous times, but it's time to go. Go and find yourself a club where you're going to be number one. You're going to play week in, week out. You can still have a good career. He's obviously in the England squad right now, and they obviously rate him. But for me, time to go. We need to start again. Come on, boys, take the floor. Take the floor. Anyone else agree, disagree? I'm interested. It's not straightforward. I don't.
Yeah, for me, mate, I think Aaron Ramsdale should go in the get out of my club section. I would not feel comfortable paying 20 million British pounds to Southampton for a number 2 goalkeeper who is on 125 grand a week, even if we managed to, get his wages down to say 100k a week or 80k a week. It's still a hell of a lot of money to fork out initially for them. And let's be honest, boys, he is number 2. And this is why we had the conversation we had around Nick Pope. This is why I think Nick Pope allows us to kick the can down the road a little bit, because I could see Nick Pope spending the last year at Newcastle and then the following summer us going then and buying a new number 2. That's genuinely how I see this panning out. So for me, it's an easy one. I think. Thank you, Aaron Ramsdale, for your efforts. But yeah, I think it's get out of my club time.
Yeah. For me, I did like Pete's suggestion the other day on one of the shows about us loaning them again, but yet the wages are the sticking point. I toy with the idea of being tweaking our cash figures here and going, it's loan needs game time, but that loan being to us. But really, I'm aligning with you here. I think it doesn't make sense when having Nick, especially when we imagine as things stand with the work that we may not get into Europe and we won't have so many games. So between the new number 1 and Nick Pope as backup and a young keeper in there as well, then we should be covered. So get out of my club for Aaron Ramsdale.
Lads, I've just realised he's on 120, 130 grand a week at Southampton. Yeah. I forgot that they signed him permanently.
Yeah.
Where the hell did they got 130 grand to pay him?
It's crazy.
But they don't.
Oh, No wonder they're in the Championship. Sorry, Mike. Love you to bits, and your content's great. But Jesus Christ, how have you paid that for him? I'm sorry, like that's just mad. But I just wanted to throw that out there. And someone else has just put, a couple of people, in fact, has put that because I said obviously he's been recognised by England, but I didn't even realise they've sent him home. So,
yeah, I heard that. All right, yeah.
He didn't even kick a ball. He's already back to Newcastle. But
why have they sent him home? Is that because he didn't make the next cut?
Yeah, they've sent loads home.
Oh,
so like, I there was the tweet out earlier on that apparently they've sent Saka, Rice, clearly Ramsdale. They've sent a ton of players home after the first game, because I think what he'd done, he'd set up a squad for the first game against Uruguay, and then he's got a second squad that he's going to play against Japan. So, for example, Gordon, Byrne, they're in the second squad that I think are going to play against Japan. Harry Kane did play in the first game, etc. There's a number of players that will play in this game against Japan. So I think he's just separated them up a little bit. But loads of teams have done it as well. I saw there's like a full 11 of Arsenal players that have all been sent home with injuries. This is why internationals are a load of rubbish in March.
Yeah.
Unless you're Sandro Tonali. Right, but
you know what? Look,
yeah, we'll get there. Don't worry.
We'll get
but
there.
It could be as well that England were afraid to get injured, and then they'd have to cover the wages. Maybe that's why they sent him home. Well, let's go to and no one can say that we're not being ruthless here so far. But let's go to our next keeper, Ruddy Vlachodimos. Tell me you're selling them, boys. Here, or send them out on loan again.
Well, I'll go first. And for me, it's an absolute get out of my club. And the reason being is because I think we'll get a half decent fee for him. I think we'll get up to 10 million for him. He's done very, very well at Sevilla. He wants to leave. Eddie Howe doesn't want him here. I think that's quite clear. So it suits all parties. But my parting shot, boys, was going to be when we do, I assume you boys are going to be aligned with this one. When we do, put him in that get out of my club section, unless, of course, you put him in the loan section, depending if we can get him sold or he has to go on loan again. Just to remind you, boys, that's 4 goalkeepers that we are letting go this summer. Now, obviously, we've got Max Thompson, who I think Pete mentioned earlier, and we are hoping to bring in a new number 1, but is 3 going to be enough? I don't know. Maybe we need to ask Mark. I don't know. But boys, I'll leave it there, boys. I'll leave it there. But yeah, get out of my club, and I think we should get a fee for Odysseus Vlachodimos.
Chris, stop trying to squeeze an extra year. I know I see what you're doing here.
He'd take £5 a week, Pete. He'd take £5 a week. He would.
Can we terminate his contract tonight, please? Just in case that happens. Just get it done.
I'm sure he would, Chris. So would we. That is for sure. £5 a week, Jesus Christ. But look, for me, I'll say it really quickly. Like, yes, I think he needs to be on the get out the club list, and the biggest reason is because Eddie Howe's never wanted him in the first place. I say Eddie Howe, the club never wanted him. They had to take him. PSR, all the rest of it. We know that. We know it. We've been there. We've done it. The only thing that I have, and I know you said, Chris, that we'd get a fee for him this summer. I'm not convinced that we will. I'm not convinced that we're going to get a decent fee for him. I think I was reading something the other week, and it was like, obviously they're lauding him at Sevilla. He's doing really well there, but they just haven't got any money. They haven't got any money as a club. So I bet that they would want him, but they just haven't got the money to put down on him. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's then taken on another loan again. But the question that I'm going to pose to you, and obviously Dad, you give your opinion on this, is that would you take him as your third choice? Let's say Max Thompson does well and he goes out on loan again and he develops his career as a young goalkeeper. Would you, bearing in mind if we're all in agreement that Pope is number 2, we're looking for a number 1, would you have him come back and just be a third goalkeeper in? Because obviously he's been getting a lot of praises, doing well on loan. So we know he's a half decent keeper. And you only really need a half decent keeper, like his third choice. I'm not saying that I would want that, but would you take that?
And would he accept that as well, boys? We have to be mindful because he's been playing first team football in La Liga, hasn't he? So it's whether or not he would accept being third choice goalkeeper as well. Sorry, I interrupted you.
And I'm sure he wanted the loan this time to try and get into. I don't know if Greece qualified for the World Cup, but I don't know, he'd get back into the international picture. I'm sure that's what he wanted to do. But to answer your question, Pete, no, I wouldn't accept that. The reason being, Eddie Howe does not rate him. He's got loads of chances to play him before, and he's never done so. So for me, I'm sticking them in the loan needs get a game time section because we need to find him another loan. If we're not going to get a decent offer for him, then the loan is the only way we can kind of save ourselves, I suppose. And it doesn't make sense. Then I don't know what kind of wages he's on, but he's probably on more than what we should be given a third choice keeper.
So as it stands, then we've got to get out of my club, we've got to keep, and we've got a loan. So we'll have to decide where we're putting him.
Well, I put him as a get out of my club. I put him,
you did. You did do that.
I said sorry. It's because I've kind of gone left with
the question.
Another alternative. But initially, I did say I've got him as a get out of my club because I think that's what we need to do. We need to move him on. But I just posed that just as an alternative. If for example we focus on other areas and they're the focuses, do we do that just to minimize too many players leaving the club?
Yeah.
I don't. I'm just putting that out there just as an alternative. But I would move him on.
To be fair, based on what you and Daz said, is it worth putting him in the loan needs game time purely for the fact that if Sevilla can't buy him, it probably will be another loan deal? Do you think that's fair?
I'm with you. I just don't know whether Daz is.
Oh no!
That's what Daz wants.
That's where I want to be. He doesn't. He's not sitting on the bench for us at Newcastle United next season. For me, he's at another club getting a bit of game time. If we got an offer from him, great, sell. Again, deal if the price is right, but because he can fit in. And any of the other four categories he can fit in. But yeah, let's leave him there for now. Oh, that's not even getting that wrong. It should be here. So I'll get rid of these other categories.
I was going to say, it keeps creating new categories, doesn't it?
We might have a bug in the system. Well, let's see. Let me put him back here for a sec and try that. There we go. Fixed. On we go. That's all our keepers done, boys.
Okay.
Let's move on. Let's go back up then and we'll follow the squad number order. So next up is, and actually let's cut to the chat as well. And we are seeing your comments coming through in the chat as well. There's close to 500 people watching across X and YouTube. So make sure you smash that like button as well. And subscribe if you're new. It will enable the chat straight away and you will be able to get your comments in as well. Next up is Mr. Kieran Trippier. What are we doing, boys?
One of the best signings that we've had in this current sort of regime with the takeover, but it has to come to an end this summer. Love Trips, love what he's done with the club, but it's very clear that his legs have gone, and we need to bolster this right hand side, and it starts with letting him go. With the money that is on, we can reinvest that significantly in a younger up and coming hungry tiger that can take on that right back berth. So for me, it stanks, but goodbye.
Sorry, Pete. I'm going to interrupt for a second. Should we introduce another category, something like "Get Out Legend" or "Legend Goodbye"? Right, something like that, because it's kind of a bit derogatory to put him in the "get out of my club" kind of category, I think.
But he's leaving. He's leaving. So it all depends on how you see that section. You can see it as get out, you're a load of rubbish.
That's the way I see it.
Get on. It can also be a get out of our club, it's time to move on.
Yeah.
We can see it in two different ways. So they're still in the same section, but they're in that section for different reasons. So we'll save ourselves or save yourselves creating another section. They're still going into the same pot. They're still leaving the club.
Correct. Cool. Chris, how are you doing, Trips?
Yeah, same. Great servants. I think we'll look back, boys, over the years and say, and I think now, if I was to do my all-time Newcastle 11, I think Kieran Trippier would be my right back. I think he would be, because I look back at previous right backs. I remember doing my all-time Newcastle 11 a good number of years ago, and I think I had Steve Watson in there at right back, and obviously, I could have had the likes of Warren Barton. Yeah, I could have, but I think Kieran Trippier is above both. For me, Andy Griffin, there's another one. But yeah, I think he is above those, and I think we'll look back fondly at Trips' time at Newcastle. My only regret for Trips is I think he should have left when that Bayern Munich bid coming. I will die on that. I will die on that hill. When we got offered 13 million for Kieran Trippier, we should have took it there and then. That would have been presented good business. It could have been a bit of a Gary Speed situation where we look and go, oh, do you know what? We shouldn't have sold him. We should have just kept him for an extra couple of years. And yes, he's won. He played a huge part in us winning our first trophy in 70 years. So you could argue that it was worth keeping him. But yeah, I think now is the time to go. I think now is definitely the time to go. And I think if we had him for another year, I think very, very quickly at the start of the season, we would all be saying, oh, should have let him go, should have let him go. And I wouldn't want him to spoil his legacy here. And I think if he stayed another season, that's exactly what he'd do. So for me, I think Kieran Trippier should be in the get out of my club section.
I am not going to disagree with you, boys. I think, let's get him in here, but if for different reasons.
Yeah.
See you later.
Yeah.
Kieran Trips, thanks for the memories.
Yeah.
And it was actually great. He did redeem himself actually this season. But yeah, his legs have gone. Next, boys, we're on to an easy one. Super Lewis Vaughan.
Oh.
Can we have a section that says sign a new contract, please? That's what we should create is stay and sign a new contract. That's what we need to do, because what do we say? What do we say to the best left back in the Premier League? Best left back in the Premier League. We say, please stay, please sign a long-term. Let's give him a Haaland deal, 10-year contract. Why not?
Yeah. Arguably the easiest keep of the whole squad, for many reasons. Pete's mentioned best left back in the league, great age, Geordie family, great surname. What else is there to say? No. In all seriousness, Kieran Trippier, Lewis Hall should be given a long-term deal, and let's just hope that he is more than happy to sign that. I have no reason to believe he wouldn't be, but we should be building this team around him and a handful of others. Lewis Hall needs to stay 1,000,000%.
Yeah, all day, every day, Lewis Hall has to stay, and we need to get him that contract, as we've been saying as well. Let's move on. That was the easiest as on the night, as you said, Chris. Sven Botman, boys. The Botman. He's already signed a contract, of course. Had a few more injuries. Let's put that out there as well. But for me, it's a keep. It's a keep. Sven Botman. Very easy as well.
The one thing I'd say is that Newcastle United would not be considering selling Sven Botman if they were willing to give him a long-term contract. Now, look, you're right. He's got another injury. He'll be out for a number of weeks, but that wasn't self-inflicted. That was putting his. He was doing something that a lot of the Newcastle United players weren't doing on the pitches. He was putting his body on the line for the club in a derby, which is what it's all about. And he's ended up getting himself hurt on the back of it. But Sven Botman, for me, and I've continually said it, Sven Botman is the best defender at the club. he is, and he proved it even in our last game against Sunderland, because once he went off the pitch, Brian Brobby just ran riot with us. And he took the mick out of Burn, he took the mick out of Chow, less so Chow, more so Burn. But he's a brilliant defender. I do agree he's got to keep himself fit, but I do think he's getting to the point of getting there. He's getting over his niggles. He's had less injuries, obviously, this season than last season in terms of missing time on the pitch. Hopefully, he won't be too far away by the time we get back playing again. But Sven Botman is absolutely a player that we need to keep at Newcastle United, because he's a top defender. And as much as it pains me to say it, that one game a week next season, I think he will thrive under that.
Chris?
Yeah. Yes, brand new deal. Incredibly gifted centre-back. And I think as well, boys, going back to what I just said about Lewis Hall, I think there comes a point where you need to build a team around a nucleus of players, and I include Sven Botman in that nucleus. Yes, he's had his injury woes, which has been frustrating, probably not just for us, but also for him. But for me, I think Sven Botman on his day is a fantastic centre-back. And ultimately, you also have to acknowledge the fact we can't rip up the rule book and get rid of 16 players. It just can't happen. And for me, I think Sven Botman is a critical part of this team. I expect him to start the season as left centre back, and he should, as long as he's fit. So yeah, easy keep for me, Sven Botman.
I do notice a few hashtag sells coming in there as well, and I think it's related to injuries and stuff. But the category for sell is sell and wants to leave. He wants to stay. He signed a new contract. He wants to be with us, and can't say that about all of our star players. So we have them in the keep section. Next we go.
Just before we go, I think it was Jumpers for Goalpost put on there about he's another Woodgate, etc. One, he's been here longer than Woodgate had been, so that doesn't wash. And two, for me, I think he's a better defender than Woodgate. This guy, in that season we finished fourth, this guy was just indestructible. He was a player that was an absolute man mountain, in a reason why we got Champions League football initially in that first season. Now let's not forget, he had the chance to go to AC Milan playing Champions League football, and he chose Newcastle United. He didn't have to come to us. He wanted to come for us, and he wanted to come to us because he believed in the project. He's now signed a new deal because he still believes in the project. We can't let players like that go lightly. He is one of Amanda Staveley's super signings, and he's still here. We need to harness that. We need to use that. He's 25 years old. I think it was 25, 26 years old. Like, he is still got the prime years left in his career. Left to go. So we need to get behind that, because he is a sensational centre-back. We just need to put it out there.
Yeah.
Next up, boys, Fabian Schär. Out of contract in the summer. What are we doing?
Do you want to go first, Chris?
Go on, Daz. You go.
Me, okay. Well, I'm going to. I think I'm going to the opposite direction to potentially what both of you doing. I'm suggesting we hold on to Fabian Schär. Now, it's really as a kind of like our last option backup, because when he has played for us, he's performed. He's also great for his passing ability, long range diagonal passes, starting in the play. I know we've kind of evolved with Malik Chow, but Malik Chow, we've seen he's playing every game for us, and he needs a bit of a break. And I think Fabian Schär can do that. He'll always come on, get injured a bit, and carry on. A bit of a bandage around the head, and off he goes. Fabian Schär, but I'm okay to give him another year, Fabian Schär, and we know how great of a servant he has been to us. And I know it maybe goes slightly against the ruthless strategy, but I'm willing to give Fabian Schär another shot here. I think, as in for like playing playing that kind of Lascelles role that for us.
Mm. Go on, Chris. What you thinking, pal?
I might make your decision a bit redundant here, Pete. But I was ready. I was ready, hovering over the buzzer, because I had the feeling you were both going to say get rid. And I'll be honest, I think my decision is being made on the squad as a whole. And it's also being made on the fact that I'm a very, very, very big fan of Fabian Schär. And I think next season, for me, given how this season's gone, given how the injuries have been, I very much see Fabian Schär as our new Jamal Lascelles, like you've just said, Daz. And I think going into next season, for me, I would like to see 5 centre-backs at Newcastle United. And I know we're going to get onto another one of them shortly. But for me, I think we keep Fabian Schär. That's on the understanding that he wants to stay. Because, and let's be clear here, boys, Malik Chow is the first choice right centre-back. That's a given. Fabian Schär will be staying as our backup centre-back, and I think he brings a lot of experience. He's been at Newcastle United now for a hell of a long time. I think he was signed by Rafa Benitez, wasn't he? Lauded as one of the best pound-for-pound signings in the Premier League at £3 million from Deportivo La Coruña. So for me, I think he deserves one more year. And I also look back, boys, and again, tell me if you think I'm wrong here. I look back and I can't think of many times where Fabian Schär's let the team down, let the club down. I think he's a really good pro. And I, for one, would like to see him get another year. But I have to caveat that with on the understanding that he's happy to be arguably third, fourth choice centre-back, which is what he would be. So, yeah, on that basis, if he's happy to stay for another year, I'd give him another year.
Pete?
I'm torn. I'm torn because I've been thinking about this the last couple of days. Very particularly about Fabian Schär, and I've been very torn on this. And I explain why I'm torn on Fabian Schär. There's lots of caveats to this. There's lots of context to this. Why I'm quite torn on him. For me, if we were sitting here preparing for European football next season, I would be saying, go. Not signing a new contract. Off you go. Great servant, all the rest of it. I don't have any questions, Chris, about whether he wants to stay. He's already said he wants to stay for the rest of his career.
Oh, has he? Oh, I didn't know that.
In previous interviews, he said he wants to see out his career at Newcastle United. That's how happy he is.
Oh, right. Okay.
But I'm torn on Fabian Schär for a couple of reasons. One is because I do think we need to move him on, because I do think from what we've seen recently with Malik Chow, I think we need a genuine, bona fide, younger centre-back to come in to push Malik Chow. Ultimately, I think to push both sides. I think we need to be getting a centre-back that can play both sides, that can push either one of Botman and Chow every week to go, I want your spot. I want to come and take it, and pushing them constantly with top-level performances over the next couple of years. With Fabian Schär, though, I think the easier thing to do is to keep him. If you're Newcastle United, the easier thing to do is to give him another contract for another year. Because if we're playing one game a week and he's someone that knows the club, in the squad, already established as a leader in the club, it's actually easier to keep him, because him playing less minutes and then coming in now and again is actually perfect for the squad. It actually works out quite well. And we know what we get from Fabian Schär. So that's why I can understand why people are saying keep him. Like, it just makes sense. At 34, he's only going to be on a 1-year rolling contract anyway. It's the same with Nick Pope. Someone put in the chat, he's got 1 year left on his contract. Well, yeah, keep rolling him for a year, because that's what we do when we get to players at 34 years old. We did it with Trippier. We keep rolling them on for an extra year. But I think we need to move him on. And the reason why I think we need to move him on is because I don't think Dan Burn's going anywhere.
No.
And I'm not comfortable with two 34-year-olds being the backups to these guys that are first choice with Malik Chow and Sven Botman. I'm not comfortable with that. I think we need another young, hungry tiger to come in and supplement what our defense is currently. That's not to say Fabian Schär's bad. I think he, up until his injury, he'd had a decent season. But at some point, you've got to move these players on to bring new blood into the team. And I think the centre-back position needs that. I think it needs an injection of new blood.
Can we afford to carry 5 centre-backs, Pete? And the reason I ask that is because obviously you've got Chow and Botman, and then you've got Bain and Schär. Is there room for the 5th one? That one that can play double, that young, hungry centre-back? Is there room for one of those?
Like an Alex Murphy?
I don't even think Eddie Howe sees Alex Murphy as a centre-back now. I think he sees him purely as a left-back. Predominantly. But I get what you're saying, Daz. I'll say no, Chris. And when you mentioned it, when you were talking about it earlier, I was kind of like in my head, I was thinking 5 centre-backs. We had Jamal Lascelles as that 5th. I'd say no, because I don't believe we're going to be playing European football next season. And that's why I don't think 5 centre-backs will necessarily work. I think 4 centre-backs for good, experienced centre-backs that are ready to go, I think is what Newcastle United will move for next season. That's just my personal opinion. Ideally, I would like a 5 centre-backs, because I think you need to cover all bases. I think, in all honesty, I think I would absolutely love for there to be 5 centre-backs, because I think for the sake of argument, Fabian Schär or Dan Burn needs to be 5th choice centre-back, in my opinion. So I would go with that personally, but I just don't think Eddie Howe will, because I think he will prioritise other positions to have more players available, i.e. the midfield. He'll probably bulk out a little bit more and have more players to choose from for that reason. So I just don't think he will do that. But this is
on the table, Pete. What are you doing?
This is why I'm torn. Look, it's a real if you're asking me, I would say Fabian Schär to move on. So I'm going to stick with that as my decision. It's redundant because you both said keep. I'm going to stick.
You have your buzzer. You can't go for your buzzer.
I'm not going to go with the buzzer, because I'm not against. I'm not angry with the fact that we would keep him. If we kept him, I'd be like, no problem, because I like him as a player. I'm just thinking of the age. I'm just thinking of what I think we need in our centre backs. I think we need an injection of youth. So I'm going to say sell, because I think we need that in our centre-back position. But obviously it's redundant because we're going to keep him. And as I say, I'm not against it at all.
There's another comment as well.
Super chat received.
And it's one from the Super Chat. And it's on the subject of Fabian Schär, I believe.
Yes, from our good friend of the channel, Truls. Thank you very much, Truls, for the super chat. Much appreciated, mate. Hope you're enjoying the show. Truls says, Schär is a 34-year-old. We can't go on with these old players in defence, to be fair. And you know what? Based on what Pete's just been saying, maybe we, Daz, and I'll talk about me and you here. Maybe we are being a bit Eddie Howe-like, in that we're being very loyal to Fabian Schär, and he is 34 years old, isn't he? He is. We can't get away from that. It's a fair comment from Charles, I think.
It is, but at the same time, if you look over, we're getting rid of a lot of experience there in Trips. And John Ruddy and Mark Gillespie, of course, the wealth of experience Mark Gillespie has. So yeah, we need some guidance as well behind the scenes. But no, it is a fair point, Rules, and in an ideal world, maybe that's the way we would go for sure. But for now,
as we've got two. Well, we'll put them in there. I was just going to say we've got 2 more comments that I'll just quickly fizz up while we're on this subject. Foxy says, we have conceded nearly double the goals per game without Schär. Very worrying, to be honest. So again, Foxy raises a good point there. And Jonathan Francois. So thank you very much for your super chat, Jonathan. And Jonathan says, we are the 3rd oldest squad in the Premier League. get.
This is what I was going to say back to Daz. That's what I was going to say back to Daz. That exact. I've not seen that super chat, but that's what I was going to say back to you. Is that is a problem, and Newcastle United need to fix that. It is one of the oldest squads in the league, and it's been well documented recently that it is. And I think Newcastle need to switch that up. And that's another thinking. We go on. Sorry,
I was going to say what a fabulous free transfer. Like a 1 year free transfer for someone else if they were to pick up Fabian Schär, though.
Oh yeah, definitely. For a club in Germany or something like that, he'd be great. He'd be super.
But equally, lads, he's 34 years old. I even though we and people in the chat are discussing this right now, I think the big thing is going to be is how he performs when he comes back. So it's been rumored that he's going to be back fit, ready for the next game, which is Crystal Palace away. Okay. Between now and the end of the season, these last 7 games, I think Newcastle, and in particular Eddie Howe, is going to be looking at him very closely to see if there's anything like what he was before, because we know what happens. Like Fabian Schär is normally Mr. Dependable, like Bruno Guimaraes. They play every week. They're normally always fit. Even if they get knocks and bruised, they're back out playing the week after. This is going to be a big test of Fabian Schär because he's been out, 3 months, maybe just a little bit more than that. And when players have that amount of time away, they don't come back always the same player. So I think that you're right. It could be a fantastic free transfer, but an injury like that could change that, and you could be looking at him at a very different player. So I do think these next 7 games are crucial in what Newcastle and in particular Eddie Howe does with Fabian Schär, because if he comes back and he's slower than he was before and he wasn't the quickest, and he's not as sharp with his movement and his positioning like he was previously, then it could be a no-brainer. Move him on, start again. It could literally be that. But I think there's a lot of context that needs to be thought about, and that's just another one there.
Yeah.
Right, let's move on. Let's go to our next player, and it is J7 Joelinton. For me, I'm going to go in with this one first because for me, I know Eddie Howe has come out and said it before. We've seen it ourselves. Sometimes when Joelinton plays, it's like having 2 players on the pitch. No one does what Joelinton can do. But Joelinton, the injuries do rack up for Joelinton. The yellow cards definitely rack up for Joelinton. I know he's Bruno's best mate and everything like that, but I'm putting in the Joelinton in the deal if the price is right category here. Because if we were to get a big offer from Saudi, I think it makes sense to do that and go down that direction. So for me, it's deal if the price is right.
You want to go, Chris?
Go on, Pete. You go, mate.
Okay. Everyone who regularly watches this channel knows my thoughts on Joelinton. I've been very critical of him this season up until sort of December time. Then he's turned it around. He's been fantastic. I think since he's come back from his injury, he's done very, very well. I think he is very much a pressure point. He's in a pressure point situation at Joelinton. Joelinton is 29 years old. I think this summer is absolutely crucial for him. He either leaves or he stays long term, so he pretty much see out his career at Newcastle United. I think that's how crucial I think this summer is. For me, I think, and it goes against my initial thoughts, I think we're going to keep him. And I think we're going to keep him because of the conversations we're probably going to have next with other midfielders. And I think that's the reason why we're going to keep him. And
logic there, yeah.
So for me, I think, yes, ideally you would move him on. I've said to you before, Saudi calling, sell him on for big fee. I would have been that way had we got European football this season, maybe Champions League, maybe Europa League, and we would have invested again heavily in that position, knowing that other players were going to stay. But if other players are going to leave, and we'll come on to that in a second, I think he will be one that Eddie Howe will be absolutely adamant that stays at the club. So for me, I think Joelinton stays for that reason.
Chris.
Yeah, this is another Fabian Schär for me, in the sense that if Joelinton starts in the Newcastle United squad next season, I'm not going to be obsessed about it. I'm not sitting here saying I want rid of Joelinton, but I just think that if Newcastle are to progress, if Newcastle are to kick on, if Newcastle are going to look like a different team with a new image, I just wonder whether Joelinton is kind of what we want to be. Joelinton has been a great servant for Newcastle United, and obviously he was brought in by Steve Bruce, even though I don't think Steve Bruce knew a lot about it, but he was brought in under Steve Bruce's tenure, and he came in as a striker, as we all know. He got given the number 9 shirt, then he got given the number 7 shirt, and then ended up in midfield. And since Joelinton's been in midfield, he's been brilliant. But as we've just said, he's 29 years old, and I just wonder whether Joelinton wants to go off into the sunset, go and get a huge salary somewhere, whether it be Saudi or somewhere else. I just don't know. I don't know if the Newcastle United we want to be, and I'm talking from a technical point of view. I just don't know whether Joelinton is that guy anymore. You know, the whole intensity is our identity. I don't think we're that anymore. And I just think Joelinton epitomised that. And if somebody came in with a big offer for Joelinton, I think the club would be interested. Obviously, he signed a new deal not that long ago. So I think he's still got a few years left. I'll have to check in the chat if someone can tell me that. But I'm pretty sure he's still probably got 2, maybe 3 years left on his deal. And I can
tell you, Chris. Well, no, I can't. The information is not available.
I think it was the season. It was the season that we missed out on Champions League football that he signed a new deal. Because remember, it was around the time that Trippier was going to go to Bayern Munich, and he didn't, which you were on about before. It was that where we were having a conversation about, will Joelinton go, will he stay? He signed a new deal. So that summer, in which we nearly got Mark Gay during that summer, PSR summer, we signed Joelinton. So he has I think he has it must be 2 years left on his deal.
Yeah, spot on. Sophie and a few others in the chat have just said 2 years from June. Now, if you're going to, you've got 2 options, Pete, and you mentioned it. You either sell Joelinton now, or he sees his career out at Newcastle United, and of course, you know, one of his very, very good friends in the squad. Maybe that will play a part in this. So that is something to consider. Because for me, I think he will see his career out at Newcastle United, and we need to ensure that happens. Having his best friend there with him will no doubt help. I know that's not the sole reason to keep somebody, but obviously if you're keeping somebody happy, that can be to the benefit. And let's be honest, boys, you know, Joelinton still can have a role to play in this Newcastle United side. I just don't see him in the starting 11 week in, week out. I don't think that Joelinton is the Newcastle 11. Would he be a value as a squad player coming off the bench, causing a bit of chaos? Absolutely. But if somebody came in with 30 million plus for Joelinton, I think the club listen. I really, really do. So for me, I feel comfortable in what Daz said in putting him in the deal if the price is right. So again, I'm not screaming from the rooftop saying I want Joelinton sold. Absolutely not. But I think if a good offer came in, I think the club would listen.
Do we hear a buzzer, Pete?
No, because look, my initial thought was I thought he would go. I absolutely thought he would go. My argument, I think my argument will make sense when we cover the rest of the midfielders.
Yeah,
my argument will make sense then, and I'll explain it a little bit more then, which is why I'm more than happy to keep him in the bracket that you guys are going to put him in now. But once we've gone through the midfielders, I'll come back and I'll just explain why I've changed my thought process on Joelinton.
This sounds like a Mark Gillespie explanation piece.
No, I think it's more important than a Gillespie.
It is more important. It is more important. Yeah. You're right.
Let's go to the man of the moment, Mr. Controversy. A lot of talk about this man. Mm-hmm. Everywhere you turn. Mr. Sandro Tonali.
Yeah. This is very easy for me, boys.
Go on, go for it.
Sorry. Yeah, I think he needs to get out of my club. And the reason I say that is because one of our good friends of the channel, Liam Kennedy, Geordie Jano. I've been watching videos of Liam Kennedy. I saw his tweets. I saw the videos that Geordie Jano has put up. Always fantastic content. And do you know what? And us boys spoke about it. We spoke about it when it was all going on. I've had this. We've had this before with a certain Mr. Isaac, and I'm not entertaining it this time around. And you know what? My sensible head, if you like, tells me, Sandro Tonali is a Champions League footballer. Sandro Tonali is an elite footballer. There's no two ways about it. Now, for whatever reason, we can feel disappointed as fans in that it seems like, we can be disappointed as fans in that we've backed him to the hilt. He had some difficulty when he first joined. There was a lot of furore around the fact that he got banned for such a long time, and Newcastle stood behind him, stood firm. But I do believe that behind the scenes, I don't think I can't see Sandro Tonali not playing European football. I just can't see it. And he's in the prime, he's in the peak of his career, age-wise. And I think that his head's probably been turned. I think that maybe the project isn't quite what he expected it to be. Maybe it's not gone as fast as what we'd hoped. I think one of the phrases we used when we were talking about Alexander Isak is that maybe Alexander Isak had progressed quicker than what Newcastle United have, and I feel like we're in the same boat with Sandro Tonali. Do I rate him as a footballer? Yes. I really like Sandro Tonali, but I have to admit, when I saw him lining up for Italy in that squad, that was my brain dump. I was like, right, dumb. Then apparently he went on. I don't know. I didn't watch it, but apparently he went on to get man of the match and score a fantastic goal. And it's just like, yeah, we need to sell, and this can't turn into a summer drama. It can't. You need to sit down with Sandro Tonali and say, this is your price. As soon as this price is met, you can go. So as far as I'm concerned, that's why I'm saying get out of my club, because not that I don't rate Sandro Tonali, just the fact that I think Sandro Tonali has probably outgrown Newcastle United, and he probably feels like it's time for him to move on. And if he does, so be it, but I want a big price. That's where I am with him.
Maybe I'll come in on Sandro next. And like Sandro and I go way back to the first fully loaded transfer show, and 2 years before he was ever linked to Newcastle, when I was mentioning him there. And for me, the lessons of this whole Alexander Isak situation, we have to learn from that. It kills me that we're going to potentially lose Sandro Tonali this summer, and it does look like we are going to, because I think he's unreal. But that whole situation where he didn't play in the derby, and as you mentioned, Chris, and then plays for Italy and plays at Stormer, that is bullshit. And it doesn't sit well, does it? And especially when we backed him for the year out for the betting situation, the gambling addiction. So for me, I'm not putting him in the get out of the club category, Chris. I'm putting him in the sell or wants to leave, because it does look like he wants to leave.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
But if he was happy to stay, or even just stay for another season, I would be delighted, because I love him. But because of this, of what's unfolded.
Yeah, I didn't take into account that category. Yeah, actually, yeah, the seller wants to leave. Yeah, he probably fits more in that category. But Pete, go
on. With Sandro Tonali, I think he goes this summer. I think he leaves this summer. I don't like what's happening at the moment. But now we're seeing what we're seeing. It kind of makes sense what happened in November, because I think up until November he was playing very well. And when he made those comments, those unnecessary comments after the Champions League game about doesn't look about or can't say for sure whether he's going to be here in 10 years, blah, 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 blah. It takes it a year at a time. It kind of makes sense now why he said that with everything that's happened since. It's very clear that Sandro Tonali has been very up and down since that moment with his performances, which is very unlike him. And there's no smoke without fire with regards to his agent making noises and doing a lot of talking. For me, I think he goes. But if I'm being honest with you, lads, I think Sandro Tonali owes it.
Yeah,
I think he owes us one more season. He owes us one more season. We backed him. This fan base did nothing but support this lad when he was going through his darkest moments. People in the city supported him, the club, the manager, the players. We all backed this lad. We gave him nothing but 100% support. There was no one going, be done with him, get him gone, this, that, and the other with his gambling. We did nothing but support him, right? So my thoughts are right now, Sandro, we supported you. You now support us. We're going through our worst moment since the takeover. Support us through that. Give us one more year to get us back up challenging, and then we'll see where the land lies. But in our worst moment to go, yeah, forget it. Of course, he's a Champions League player. Of course he is. He was playing Champions League semi-final football before he signed for Newcastle United. So that's never been in question. He's a Champions League player. But for me, I think he owes us. He owes us at least one more year. He's signed up until 2030 with an option of an extra year. He owes us at least one more year of that to show that he can put performances in to get us back to where we want to be. So for me, I do think he leaves, but it'll be with a bit of a sour taste because I think he owes us. I think he owes us another year, personally. However, I think if he goes, as Matteo Moretti, very, very good Italian journalist, said today, 100 million is what Newcastle United want. Then it comes another question. Is there a club out there that's willing to pay that sort of money? I'm not sure. Man United, apparently today, Mark Goldbridge has been talking about Man United saying that they're not willing to pay around 100 million for one midfielder. So that might rule them out. Man City, are they willing to? They've done it before, possibly. It just narrows the field slightly. I'm not saying that he'd go. I think he'll go, but it's not a definite. But I'm going to put him in the leaves or wants to leave category, like you boys have done. I've put him in there, but I think he owes Newcastle United. I genuinely think he does.
We've had a bid in the chat for Sandro Tonali already from Martin from the Mancunian Way. He's willing to take Sandro off us. I'm sure you would, Martin.
I bet. Look. Let's not beat around the bush. Sandro Tonali is a very, very talented player. I'm not surprised that Man City, Man United are looking at him. Like top clubs, PSG have been looking at him too. Like there are top clubs looking at Sandro Tonali. There's no doubt about it. There's a very clear reason why teams would look at him. But as I will say to you, Martin, as I would say to anyone that supports Man United, anyone that supports PSG, like I'll say to my brother tomorrow, if you want him, you've got to pay big. Because we're not willing to let go of our players for cheap. We have no reason to. But this adds to my point, boys, about the Joelinton situation. This adds to my point about the Joelinton situation. But I'll come back to it when we carry on.
Yeah.
So, boys, where is Sandro ending up here? Is he in the sell? Is he in the deal if the price is right? Are you? I think you ruled out to get out of my club.
Yeah, I think he goes in that second column. I think he goes in the wants to leave column. I think that's where he goes because I think from what we're being told and what his actions are proven, he wants to leave. And Pete mentioned there at the end that he thinks he will leave as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's where he's sitting.
We've had a few super chats, comments. So I'm just going to quickly whiz through those while we're on Sandro Tonali. But very quickly, DXLE has just become a new Loaded Ultra. Thank you very much, DXLE. Much appreciated, mate. Trulls, who has been a Loaded Ultra now for 45 months. Thank you very much, Trulls. Approaching 4 years. We need a change, no doubt. Yeah, absolutely. We need a lot of changes. We really, really do. Jonathan Francois, thank you very much again, Jonathan. Jonathan says, look at the Isak situation. Sell at peak value and don't prolong it. We would have got an Ekatike if we had just did the business in the right way. Sell, sell, sell. And that's what he's referring. I'm pretty sure he's referring to Sandro Tonali there when he says that.
Sandro still hold his value though, Chris, and Jonathan.
Because of the contract.
Of course, absolutely. He'll still hold his value. So for me, look, I think he goes this summer. I think he goes. I think there's a lot of talk around lots of teams wanting central midfielders. Sandro Tonali will be at the top of the list for most of those clubs. So I do think he'll go. But why I think he should stay is that he should be one of those players that tries to get us back to where we want to be, playing 1 game a week next season, and then leave. And his value will still be where it is. The Newcastle will still get a very high fee for him and will still be in a great position. But we, as a club, if we do what we want to do and expect to do next season, we, as a club, will be at a higher pressure point so we can go and buy a player that can come in and replace it. Like that, we're in a stronger bargaining position to move him on and then bring someone in. That's the way I see it, but I don't think it will happen like that. I do. And
are you saying in that, Pete? And I think this is what you're saying, that Sandro owes us 1 more year. Go and get us Champions League football again, and then you can go with our blessing.
Absolutely. We can go. My point, or close to it. My point is that it is exactly that. Is that if he gets us where we want to be, whether it's Champions League football, Europa League, whatever, but back into Europe and back challenging again, we're in a better position to be able to negotiate to go and buy his replacement. That's where I see it, because as I keep saying, and I'll keep saying it, he owes us. I think Sandro Tonali absolutely owes Newcastle United.
Yeah,
and I think now we should just shake on that now. A gentleman's agreement with Sandro Tonali, stay for the season, and we'll talk about it this time next year at Squad Game.
He's going to be one of the prominent names in this transfer window for sure. And I think very early on it will be clear, because for me, and I do agree with what Jonathan says here, in the sense that we don't want to prolong it. We want to know what's going on. I don't want to get to the end of August and people start going, "Oh, is Sandro going? Is he coming?" A decision needs to be made. A decision needs to be made ASAP. He either stays or he goes. One of the two.
And to add to that, he ain't going to do an Isak.
No.
Let's be clear here. Everyone in the media are putting it out there that, you don't want to be another Isak. You don't want another Isak situation. The Isak situation was like him as a player. It was a unicorn. It was an unusual, very rare situation that a player does what Alexander Isak did, where he refused to play. Forget him, because he's on a lesser scale. Nobody cares about this guy here. But Alexander Isak is a high-profile player. He's a high-profile player. It was unheard of that he would do that and go to the lengths out of nothing. Out of nothing, it happened. For me, I'm looking at Sandro Tonali and everything that he's talked about and everything that he said about the club. I do not see him going to the point where he refuses to play. No. He's already seen how it's affected, like, Alexander Isak in his overall look as a person, as a professional. It's come into question the way he's kind of gone about his business. I don't see Sandro Tonali doing that. So if I genuinely believe, if Newcastle United, I don't know whether this will happen or not, if Newcastle United turn around to Sandro and go, "You're not leaving, you give me 1 more year," I don't think he kicks up a fuss about it. I think he might be disappointed that he's not getting a move, but I don't think he kicks up a fuss about it. And I think he'd get straight back to work. I think his agents will kick up a fuss about it. I think you'll hear a lot from his agents about Newcastle putting their foot down. But I don't think that you'll find that he will do that, because we're hearing a lot about his agents, about moves and this, that, and the other. You're not hearing anything about Sandro Tonali. Eddie Howe just said, I'd see him in training, being as committed as whatever it is, anything. And maybe question that by the derby and the Italian football thing over the last week. I maybe question that. But you're not hearing the noises that he is unhappy, that he's downing towards this, that, and the other. So let's wait and see. Let's wait and see that one.
Should we be ruthless, the other side ruthless, and keep him? Put him in the keep column?
I don't think we're able to do that. And the reason I say that is because I think Sandro will make it very clear come the end of the season what his intentions are. And I think the club, even if they are reluctant or even if they are disappointed, I just don't think the club will allow themselves to be put in that situation again. We can't have another summer like last summer. We just cannot. We cannot.
Let's move on, so boys. Let's keep the show on the road.
Right.
We will have some. Sorry, go on, Chris.
Sorry, mate. I'll just throw a few comments up. So good friends of the channel, and of course, Martin appears at this point. But Martin, hope you're well, mate. Martin from the Mancunian Way says, "Hey lads, hope you're well." He says some good Italians in Manchester city centre. And he also says, "You want Trafford, so I see some deals. Scratch our back, and we scratch yours." So again,
is there a Wetherspoons? I'm sure there is, but there have to be, or Sandro is going nowhere there near it.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jonathan Graham says, Man City have offered 4 players for Tino and Tonali. What do you think? And we may come to that at the end, Jonathan. But yeah, they are the rumours. Whether they are true or not, I don't know. And from a PSR point of view or an SCR, I struggle to believe those kind of deals anymore because I just don't think they happen, if I'm honest.
I'm with you, Chris. I don't see it happening. I'm not saying that we won't go for a Man City player, but I don't think it's as a part of any deal because it holds no book value. And if anyone's learned anything from PSR and SCR, is that there has to be a book value from every player sold and every player bought. There has to be a book value there. So I don't see this talk of, it'll be a part of this deal and it'll be a part of that deal. It's nonsense. There's no real deals that happen that way. No high-profile deals go now with a player involved in a transfer. When was the last? I don't know the last high-profile deal that had that. I can't remember off the top of my head. Someone may correct me. I just don't see it. I genuinely don't. They'll happen as separate deals, and that'll be it. They'll happen as separate deals.
Yeah. And then James Walbridge also says Miley should be the future of our midfield. Tonali blocks his path, which is a fair point. A fair point because we do see Louis Miley probably in that number 6 position. So again, that's something to discuss shortly. And Chippers, who's been a member for 49 months, thank you very much, Chippers. Chippers
Nice
says
Chips.
We can't get mugged off this summer, and you know what, Chippers, I wholeheartedly agree with that. We cannot get mugged off again this summer. And then Martin says, "Are we? Let's talk sense. Who said considering all under NDAs?" Okay, yeah, I think Martin's having a few discussions in the chat with our chatterers, and we hope you're all having a good laugh. But please keep it respectful, everybody. Please keep it respectful.
Right, boys, let us move on. And this man, I'm going to go first here. One Yoane Wissa. Everyone knows what I think here. And I think Sophie has nailed it. Couldn't have said it better myself. In Wissa. Get the fuck clean off out of my club. Worst Premier League signing ever. Maybe not the worst Premier League signing ever. There's a few up there, but for Newcastle, it's just been an absolute disaster for him. For me, it's get out. I'm putting him in the get out of the club in whatever capacity possible, as in sell. It's gone. It's not a deal if the price is right. It's just get a deal done and get out of the club, Wissa. And best luck to you wherever you end up next.
Yeah, Pete, go on, mate. You go.
I'm there. I need Yoane Wissa gone. For me, I think Yoane Wissa has to go this summer. I think there's one of Nick Voltwada and Yoane Wissa that need to leave the club, and I think Yoane Wissa has to be that guy. He has to be. He's done nothing for the 55 million that we've paid for him. He's done nothing. He's been fit since December. We're now approaching April, and he scored a couple of goals, and that was in the early part of his fitness comeback. He's done nothing since, coming off the bench again in the derby, again doing nothing. It's hard coming off the bench, but still, look, we talked about what he did at half time and all the rest of it. It just looks wrong. Newcastle United need to learn that when they've made a mistake, that they hold their hands up and go, "We made a mistake. Let's rectify it." Aston Villa did it with Marlon, and they managed to effectively get their money back. For us, I think the only way that we can do that is if we move him on to Saudi and we get a decent fee. So we paid 55 million all in for him. In terms of the book market value, having him for a year, probably less than that because we didn't pay his wages for a good few months. The book market value would be around the 40 to 42 million pound mark for Yoane Wissa, based on what we signed him for. So if we could get anywhere between 40 to 42 million from Saudi, which they do pay a lot more, I don't think we'll get anything from that by any other club other than Saudi. But if we could get something around that ballpark for Yoane Wissa, I think we have to take it and run. And I think Saudi, with the fact that they're rejuvenating their squads, a lot of their players that they signed in the initial Saudi Pro League evolution is starting to fade, and they're going to be re-signing again. He could be one that you push forward and go, there you go, take him and get a little bit of money, a little bit of change from him. For me, I think it's a no-brainer. And yeah, there is issues with Saudi, but Saudi have money that they're going to invest. You're telling me that they're not going to invest £1 million? It's apparently linked. Mo Salah's linked with getting £1 million a week from Saudi, going on a free from Liverpool. If they can pay that for Mo Salah, they can pay the transfer fees, and trust me, they will, because they'll want to be building the Saudi Pro League up again for a new season. That's the only way I see him going. But I absolutely think he needs to leave the club, and we need to reinvest in a proper striker that can play the role that we need him to play next season. So for me, he needs to go.
Chris, are you putting up the comments because you want to have a puff there in the background to hide?
No, it wasn't even that. I was just putting the comment. I was trying to be as interactive as I can with the comments, because I'm noticing we're getting loads of comments in. While you boys are talking, I'm trying to flash them up. But no, yeah, Wissa's a funny one for me, boys. And we spoke about this, didn't we? Because I think I gave the analogy of head and heart. So, my heart says I want to keep Nick Voldemar there. And my head says that Yoane Wissa should go. I just have this horrible feeling, boys, because of the price tag. I don't know. And I have to say, because I did see this in the news in the last 48 hours, and I forget who put it in. Yeah, it was Sophie. Some Turkish clubs apparently want a loan with an option to buy. Now, I certainly don't like the option to buy, but Mr. Linkified said Wissa 2 million loan free to a Turkish team, and then in 27-28 sell him for 23 million and we get our book value back. Now it kind of ties in with the Odyssey's Vlachodimos argument, this. And the reason I say that is because, I'm thinking there's a strong chance we're going to get an influx of money this summer, whether it be Sandro Tonali, whether it be Anthony Gordon, whether it be Tino Livramento. And I give me the choice. If a Saudi club comes in for Yoane Wissa and offers anything like 35, 40 million, I'm snapping your hand off. I'm absolutely doing that. I just worry that that offer may not come. That's my only concern. And we can't afford, I don't know, say someone came in and went 20 million. I just don't see us accepting anything like that. That's probably Yoane Wissa's true value. 20, 30 million. That's probably where he is. We vastly overpaid, which we all knew at the time. Yeah. It was a panic buy. I'm just wondering, in terms of wages, in terms of squad numbers, is there a possibility to potentially get him out on loan with an obligation rather than an option? I don't. I can see him not being part of this squad next summer, but then the other part of me sees him being part of the squad in terms of having to make it work. Has he impressed me since he's come in? No. Has he done enough? Absolutely not. I just worry again, and we're having this problem at every position, aren't we, boys? Whether it be goalkeeper, whether it be defence, whether it be midfield, attack, I don't know. It's such a difficult one. If money were no object and if there were no financial rules and whatever, of course he'd be in the sell category. Of course he would be in that get out of my club category. Of course he would. But I just wonder whether we're going to get the money that we need. And that's why I know you boys have already voted for you get out of my club. But I just wonder whether there's an option or a discussion to be had around putting him in the loan category. Only for the fact that I think a club would happily snap him up on loan, and if we were to get 2, 3, 4, 5 million, get him off the roster at the club, and then revisit this in 12 months' time in terms of getting him gone, because then the book value will be even better and more promising for Newcastle United. I just think the book value might be too high this summer. That's my only concern.
I see your logic there, Chris. I think, but as an insult to Wissa and what his performance this season, I think he deserves to be in the get out of my club category by whatever means possible. Get out of my club. So I think that's what we're going with.
Yeah. Let's keep him there. Yeah,
we'll keep him there for now because we will remove the pictures at the very end, and we'll just have a snapshot of where we're looking. We're on track to finish by 12 o'clock, boys. That's where we're going. We've got 12 done, 20 to go. Let's fast forward. We're not going to be in a fast forward in this one, but Anthony Gordon. What are we doing with Anthony Gordon? I think for me, maybe I'll go first there. So again, for me, I'd like to keep Anthony Gordon if Anthony Gordon wants to stay at Newcastle, but I think I would put him in the deal if the price is right category, because if we got like 80, 85 kind of million, then I think we look at that and we consider it. Yeah, that's when I said the deal as well. But what are you boys thinking with Anthony Gordon? And we know Liverpool are looking for a replacement for Salah. I know a different side. Anthony Gordon doesn't want to play on the right when he's playing for Newcastle. But what are you thinking yourselves?
Go on, Pete.
Anthony Gordon, I think deal if the price is right. I've been adamant that I think he wants to leave. I do. I think he does. But I think. What do I think? Anthony Gordon. For me, I would be keeping Anthony Gordon. Personally, I'd be keeping Anthony Gordon. Just because of maybe what I'm going to say in the next few player lists. That's me,
Chris.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Would I want to keep the best version of Anthony Gordon? Absolutely. Would I want to keep Anthony Gordon if I knew that Anthony Gordon wanted to stay? Absolutely. I'm just not convinced that Anthony Gordon is ever going to reach that Anthony Gordon version that we saw for that one season. I think Anthony Gordon's going to have a good World Cup, and I think Anthony Gordon is going to do his very best to try and facilitate a move away from Newcastle. I just have a feeling that he wants out of Newcastle. I think he wants to go back to Liverpool. For anyone who hasn't seen it, when he was asked for it, where you have to choose one player or the other, and he's picking Bukayo Saka over Alan Shearer, it just feels like he's just gesturing or positioning himself to get that move. And I also think as well, and it's no fault of Eddie Howe, but I also think that playing him through the middle as the main striker is probably, well, in hindsight, it's probably turned out to be a bad thing, because I just don't see Anthony Gordon starting as the striker for Newcastle next season. I think he will start on the left. Does he want to play on the left? I don't know. I think, for me, if we put him in the deal if the price is right category, it's probably good, because ultimately it has to be the right price. We're not going to sell Anthony Gordon for cheap. You know, I saw people on X talking about 60 million for Anthony Gordon. Like that's just not a thing. It's got to be minimum 80 million. But I think if the bid comes in, I think Anthony Gordon will say to the club, I want to go. That's what I think he'll do. So for me, I think, I think we'd sell if the price was right. But if he stayed, would I be happy? Yeah, because he's a good player. But I just don't know. I don't know. I just feel like there's something about Anthony Gordon. I just don't think he's fully committed to Newcastle. Whether that's just a feeling I've got, I don't know. He hasn't come out and said he's not fully committed to Newcastle, but it's just too much noise, boys. There's too much noise around him.
We're all kind of in or around the same spot here. We're a bit on the fence in a way. The keep and the deal, if the price is right, kind of category. That's kind of where we are.
It's a case of put your money where your mouth is. If you're Arsenal or you're Liverpool, it's a case of if you want him, put your money where your mouth is. You ain't going to get him for 60 million. You're probably not even going to get him for 70 million. A lad that scored, 17 goals this season, regardless of what you think of what we think as Newcastle fans, whether they're all penalties or they're not, he has put 17 goals on the table. I think it's 21 GA in all competitions. That in itself puts you in, it propels you in this transfer value era at minimum 80 million plus. It puts you in that bracket regardless. If you're putting that sort of season on your back, that puts you into that. That's before we even get into the World Cup. If you perform as well and he plays in the World Cup, it puts you in there. It propels you to that level. And the question is Arsenal could be linked to him as much as they want. Liverpool can be linked with him as much as they want. Have they got the balls to put their money where their mouth is and go, we want him, here's your money? I think if that happens, he goes. And I think particularly if Liverpool put their money in there, he goes. Yeah. And I think he'll come out and say, I want to go. I need to go. And I think we will let him go in that position. I'm not convinced they will. I'm not convinced. I mean, yes, Liverpool need a left winger. If Gakpo goes, which has been the rumour for Liverpool that Gakpo is going to be moved on in the summer, maybe they will put that money down. I'm not convinced they will, though. I'm just not convinced they will. And that's why, in my opinion, that's why I think he will stay. That's kind of where I'm at. Is because I don't think the money... this is the thing. Newcastle players have been linked with every club out there, or every player has been linked with the move. Any player worth their salt in this squad has been linked with the move. And everyone thinks it's going to be some sort of fire sale. It ain't happening. Newcastle United are not going to sell any of their top players for cheap. They're going to want huge money. And this is why I laugh at all these links, particularly Man United. They've been linked with about 8 of our players. This is why I laugh at this, because they think they're going to get these players for cheap. They're going to have to pay premium price for these players. And I'm not convinced that these clubs, particularly after what we did with Alexander Isak, I think people think we're going to be, oh yeah, let's get him go because we don't want a saga again. Newcastle aren't just going to let these players go easily. They're going to make it difficult. Newcastle need to be hard sellers. They absolutely need to be. And they need to let the players know, and the clubs that are trying to buy them know, that they're just going to get Newcastle players willy-nilly and just allow them to just come in and snap our players up. They're going to make it difficult. And I think there's a price there that Newcastle will have on Anthony Gordon's head that I'm not sure that Arsenal and Liverpool are going to be willing to play. And they're the only 2 clubs that I think are willing to pay or even looking at him. I don't see any of the club outside of those 2 that are even in a position to buy Anthony Gordon. For me,
how much is his price, Pete?
For me, as I've just said, he's got 20 GA this season. Yeah. For me, I'm not selling Anthony Gordon, whether we rate him at this price or not. I'm not selling Anthony Gordon as an England international for any less than 85 million. People might not agree with that. People might not agree, and that's fine. That's your opinion. But I'm holding him to a value that every other club holds their players to values for. Yeah. And so I'm putting him at that value. And I think Newcastle United will and should hold him to the same value. minimum 85 million, right? And that's why I say I'm not convinced that those clubs will want to pay that money, which is why I think he'll be here probably for another season.
Do you think it depends on his World Cup as well, Pete? So, for example, if he's the starting left winger for England and he does really well for England and England do well in the World Cup, do you think that plays its part? Or if Anthony Gordon, similar to what happens in the Euros, barely gets a sniff, barely gets a look in, will that dampen the opportunity for Anthony Gordon to get a move this summer?
No, because of the body of work that he's already got in terms of numbers, and I say very much numbers, because we've obviously had the jury's been out as Newcastle fans with Anthony Gordon this season already, but that's Newcastle fans. A lot of the outside fans don't see that, so they will look at the numbers, which is what it is now. It's a numbers game, and they'll look at the numbers and go, actually, his GA is pretty good. And they'll want that in their team. You're telling me that an Arsenal wouldn't want 20 GA when they're looking at what Martinelli's producing for them? They would snap that up all day. Are you telling me that that Liverpool wouldn't look at that GA as a younger, more effective or more effective player because he knows the city, he's a Liverpool fan, etc., in comparison to Gakpo? They would snap that up all day. But are they willing to pay the price? That's what I'm not convinced of. I don't believe that they are.
Yeah. Stay tuned to Fully Loaded Transfer Show right through the summer, where we'll be discussing any of these sagas that pop up and links, and with a number of guests as well right through the summer. Boys, let us move on. Let's go to Harvey Barnes, 28-year-old Harvey Barnes, 29 in December. Good for a goal. For us. What are you doing with Harvey Barnes?
For me, I like Harvey Barnes. I really, really like Harvey Barnes. I think he's a proper goal scorer, an old-fashioned goal scorer. But I look at this and I think one of Gordon or Barnes goes. I don't see us keeping both. So I'm gonna cheat a little bit here, boys. I think if Anthony Gordon stays, Harvey Barnes goes. But if Anthony Gordon goes, Harvey Barnes stays. That's just my gut on it, because I do think as well we need to refresh this winger position. I really, really do.
You're doing this, Chris?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Daz. Yeah, I am, because someone else has just put in the chat there. Harvey Barnes is 29 years old. He's 29 years old, and
in December,
2 years left on his deal. If you get, it's similar really to Joelinton's position, in that, if you're going to cash in, now is the time to cash in. If someone offers 30 million for Harvey Barnes, can we really turn that down? Can we really do that? It's whether or not someone will offer 30 million for Harvey Barnes, whether or not that bid would come in. But I would be open. I suppose the way I'll leave it is I would be open to selling Harvey Barnes if the price is right. He's not in that keep and wants to stay category. He's not somebody I see as my starting left winger next season. I don't see it. I like him as a player. He scored some really big goals, none more so than when we were at St James's Park together, boys, and we won 4-3 against West Ham. Won't forget that. But I just think if the right offer comes in, I think the club would be silly not to think about it.
I see your logic here, Chris, and then putting both of them in and to hold on to one, but also to bring in maybe a backup as well if one of them was to go. And yeah, if there was a big bid for a matching what we paid for him, then I'd consider it as well. So I'm happy to go along with your suggestion here, Dean, if the price is right. But I want to hear what Pete says about the Leicester boy.
Yeah, there's a reason why I said my argument will make more sense later on with Anthony Gordon, is because I think it's the smart move if you're Newcastle United to move on Harvey Barnes. 29 this year, it makes sense. With a season where he's produced 13 goals, 17, 18 GA this season, you can argue that you can still get the best part of 25, 30 million from him in a signing, and he can still produce for a team in the middle of the table and produce for them for a number of years. It absolutely makes sense. Yeah. And I love Harvey Barnes, and I'm a big fan of Harvey Barnes, but it comes a point where change is needed. Harvey Barnes is a goal scorer. He's a guy that plays on the last line. He'll put the ball in the back of the net. He doesn't do what Anthony Gordon does or the traditional winger does. He never has, even at Leicester. And his goals have been important this season, but I think the wingers need to go in a different direction. I think we need to go in a different direction. And I think Harvey Barnes moving on makes sense for Newcastle United. I think we could still, like I said, we could still get 25, 30 million for him. And we signed him for 38 million. The book value and everything else just matches up perfectly to be able to move him on. We get loads of money put back into the club because he's been here, 3 years. It just makes sense to move him on. Like a Crystal Palace, for example, a Brentford, or someone of that ilk, a West Ham if they stay in the Premier League, or a Forest will pay that sort of money for Harvey Barnes. We could get our money. There's no doubt about it. I think he needs to move on.
Okay, so I think we're happy to keep him here. Then, if we get the right price, we would consider. Lads, this is an easy one. Surely we'll keep putting Malik Chow here. Keep and wants to stay.
100%.
Yeah.
No argument. No. If you have an argument for that in the chat, we want to see that. So let's go with that. I know there's a few super chats coming in as well. We're going to kind of time them around the players in question on them. So that's another easy one here. Emil Kraft, he's on the way out here. He's not getting another contract.
No, he's gone.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Emil Kraft's gone.
Best of luck to him. Let's talk a bit about this one. Wissa. We know Frankfurt were in from right on deadline day, but we held on to him. The loan to buy option. What are we doing with Wissa? And we have to play this.
Darby is an attacker.
What's happening?
Well, for me, W's in the chat in Frankfurt because he needs to move on. It's as simple as that. Look, great personality at the club, scored some outstanding goals at times on odd occasions, but hasn't really found his position at the club, hasn't really kind of kicked on the way we wanted him to. And I'll be honest with you, we should have took if we'd have been able to take the 30 million in the summer, we should have, and probably we would have taken it. I still think that type of fee will still be around in the summer. And so therefore, I think we absolutely need to take that type of money for him. We bought him for 15 million. We've got 2 years out of him already. It's the perfect time for me to move him on. It just makes sense. He's a full international. Everything just matches up for him to go and move on and kick on at another club. And I actually think Germany or something of that like would be perfect for him to go and kick on. And it would do well at another club, just not in the Premier League and just not at Newcastle.
Chris, what are you having here for Wissa?
Yeah. No, yeah, I think he will be sold. I just don't think that Wissa is the future. Yeah, I don't see Wissa being a mainstay in the Newcastle United squad. I think he could go on to have a really good career somewhere, or he could be, or he could very well be like a bit of a journeyman where he doesn't quite find his place. I just don't see him as a main striker. He could play right wing, but has he got the discipline to play right wing? I don't know. But ultimately, it's not our problem, and I think we need to cash in and move on from Wissa. We paid 15 million for him, and I think we can quite easily get at least 25, 30 million for him. And if we do, I think it'll be good business. He is a typical player who you bring in and then you flip because it hasn't quite worked, and you make a bit of money on him and you move on. Cool.
I'm the same. I think it's time to sell Wissa. Let's. I'm going to mix it up a small bit. I'm going to jump to one or two. We're going to go. I'm not passing over. We will circle back. Let's go to Big Nick. What are you doing for Big Nick? Pete, I'll go to you first.
Big Nick. This will depend on a number of things. I think, the manager needs to find a way of getting him playing. I hope we see that coming back from the internationals. I think he needs to start up front. I think he needs to start the next 7 games as Newcastle United's main striker through the middle, in my opinion. I think that needs to happen. If we can find a way of getting him playing, I absolutely think Nick Vlachodimos needs to stay at Newcastle United. I said it before, either one of Big Nick or Yoane Wissa needs to stay at Newcastle United, and I absolutely am fully behind Big Nick staying at this club. So for me, he has to stay. We have to find a way of him playing. We have to find the right tools around him, but I believe there is a serious player in here that we can unlock, and we just have to find the right keys to unlock this guy. So there's no doubt in my mind he's staying.
It's the same for me. I want to keep Nick Vlachodimos at Newcastle and see how he adapts and has a full pre-season with us as well. And for me, putting him in there beside Malik Chow seems the right thing to do in the keep. Chris, what are you doing with Big Nick?
I'd like to see him stay. I think he's a very, 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 very talented player, and I would be disappointed if we sold him. I'd understand why we sell him, especially if we keep Eddie Howe. And we decide to cut our losses and move on. But I would be disappointed. And also, boys, let's be honest, I think the one and only club who are potentially going to buy Nick Vlachodimos is Bayern Munich. Are Bayern Munich willing to put the money where the mouth is for him? Will it depend on the World Cup he has with Germany? Who knows? But yeah, I think Nick Vlachodimos will stay for at least another year, because I don't think that Bayern Munich will come in for him in the summer. So yeah, on that basis, I think we keep Nick Vlachodimos.
Let's go. Let's keep going. Just to keep it interesting as well, and to keep the chatters from skipping ahead, we try and mix it up a bit. I'm going to go Big Dan Burn. Oh, it's a controversial one.
Yeah.
What are you thinking here? We're going to use first, Pete. Big Dan Burn. Oh, go on, Chris.
Oh no, I was going to say this is quite an easy one for me, and the reason I say it's easy is because I don't think Big Dan Burn goes anywhere. I think he stays. I think he's one of that quadrant of centre backs. I think Dan Burn will stay. He'll end his career at Newcastle, and I think he's good for another year. I mean, we could probably spend 20 minutes talking about why maybe he shouldn't be staying. But I think, I think Big Dan Burn stays. And, as long as he doesn't end up at left back ever again, I can live with that.
Pete, what are you doing, Big Dan Burn?
No issue at all with Dan Burn staying, but I just don't want him starting week in, week out. So for me, one more year, Big Dan Burn at the club, in the squad, as a backup centre back. I'm fine with that, no problem.
Yeah.
Right. Let's go Tino or Valentino to give me his full name. Livramento. What are you doing with Tino, boys? He has, when he's come back, he hasn't shone after coming back from just injury recently. Absolutely unreal player. We're going to be light at right back with Kraft and Trips gone from our picks. We have Miley that can play there at right back. What's happening with Tino?
For me, I don't see a world in which 3 right backs leave the club, and we sign 2 right backs in the summer. We've already gone through the squad and looked at how many players need to go, need to stay, etc., etc. I just don't see a world in which 3 right backs leave the club and we sign 2 right backs to kind of replace them. I just don't think it makes sense. So I think if Trippier leaves and Kraft leaves, which we expect those 2 to do, I actually expect Tino to stay. And I think he'll stay. Whether it's another year, whether he signs a new contract, I'm not too sure on that. That will fall into place. But for me, I think Tino will stay. And, there's arguments, as you said, Daz, about his fitness, about all the rest of it. But that's why I think we need to buy another right back that's got similar profile to him, that if he is out, we can still do what we need to do, because there's no doubt in our mind that Tino Livramento, when playing well and when on form, is a formidable right back. He causes so many problems for the opposition. And it's really interesting that Tino Livramento and Lewis Hall, and I've said it to you boys before, the fullback positions are now becoming one of the most important elements of a team. In terms of a team being able to do their business and play a certain way, fullbacks are now becoming one of the most important positions on the pitch. And it smacks so much like seriousness into this team that those two have only played together, Hall and Tino and Hall, 5 times this season in the same team.
Mm-hmm.
That is absolutely crazy that those two fullbacks have only played together in the same team 5 times. And you go through those games, and actually they're games that we played really well in. And so for me, I think we need another season of that. I think playing 1 game a week can only be a good thing for Tino and Hall. And in terms of getting to regularly playing and playing at their best levels. But I think we need that underbelly of a quality right back to really push Tino. That if he does break down and he is injured, then we're not going to lose out. So for me, keep Tino at the club. Ideally sign him to a new contract, but regardless, just keep him for another season.
I've seen us linked to even Freshneda as well from he's at Sporting Lisbon at the moment, a name that we from about 2 or 3 years ago we talked about. But it'll be interesting to see how it all plays up. Chris, what were you doing with Tino?
Well, do you know what? I've been adamant now for weeks that Tino Livramento will go, but Pete raises a really good point, and this is why we do squad games. Obviously, if Kieran Trippier is going to go, and if Emil Kraft's going to go, and arguably we haven't got to him yet, but maybe Harrison Ashby goes as well. We literally have 1 right back. Now, for us to let Tino Livramento go and potentially have no right backs whatsoever, it does seem crazy. I think you've got to consider the injury situation, because Newcastle United, yes, Tino Livramento hasn't had a great time with injuries, but Newcastle United will not lower their price because of his injuries. So could it be that his price ends up pricing him out of a move? Could it be that he has another year with Newcastle? I think somebody in the chat said it as well as Pete just then. In an ideal world, he signs a new contract with Lewis Hall. And what you could even say to Tino Livramento is, here's a 4-year deal, and we'll insert a release clause in there. You can have a release clause of 70 million. If someone meets it, you can go. And then that way, club's protected. Tino Livramento stays for another year. If he has a fantastic season next season, proves his fitness, it could be that next summer we're having a different conversation. But right now, we can't lose everybody. So maybe it is that we keep Tino Livramento, and he gives us another year because of the fact that we have no right backs. That was a really good point from Pete there when we're looking at Trippier and we're looking at Emil Kraft. And
a good point yourself, Chris, as well, because I like that idea of the contract and the potential release clause built into it. Then we get at least 1 more season from him. Let's go next to let's go to Willock. Let's go to Joey Willock. For me, delighted that Joe Willock has stayed fit for the back end of this season. And he's put him in the shop window. I would have sold him myself in January, and I'm definitely selling him in the summer. His time is up at Newcastle. It's pretty much kind of a get out of my club / deal. It's the price is right, because there has to be a decent fee involved with it as well. But best of luck to him in his next chapter, but that won't be at Newcastle.
Yeah. He needs to go. I still think Joe Willock can get around 20 to 25 million this summer. I think there's a club that will pay that sort of fee for him at 26 years old. It's a no-brainer for me. Move him on, and I think the club will.
Yeah, we had a super chat in earlier, boys, from LT, and LT says, "Thank you for your super chat, LT." LT says, "Willock goes, please." And yeah, I agree with you, boys. I think Willock goes as long as the right offer comes in. And there's no reason why it can't. I think 20, 25 million is reasonable. And I think whoever bought him for that price would be getting a good player. On his day, Joe Willock is a good player. Is he a top 6 player? Probably not. Is he a mid-table Premier League player? Absolutely. So I think he'd be a good signing for whoever got him. But yeah, I think it's time for Joe Willock to go. I think it's probably a year overdue. But he got his extra year at Newcastle. But yeah, I think we need to upgrade. Somebody said it in the chat there. I think we need to upgrade our central midfield. And that means we need to make space in the central midfield. And Joe Willock will be one of those players.
Cool. Let's move on. Bruno G. It's easy for me. You're keeping Bruno G. Captain or heartbeat of the team. Gets everything Newcastle United related. And I just want him never to leave, really, and get his statue eventually. Bruno G.
I think there's more chance of him signing a new deal at Newcastle than there is of him moving. He stays. Simple as that.
Chris.
I think we build. When we're talking about that nucleus of players, Bruno is front and centre of that for me. He's your captain of the club, and I think you need to build the team around him. And you need to basically say to him, "You're getting a statue when you go, mate. Stay here, do what you need to do, get us back in the Champions League. Let's win more trophies. Here's a 5-year deal. Finish your career at Newcastle." That's what they need to do with Bruno.
We're into the final 10, boys. Louis Miley, surely keep as well. That's a no-brainer.
Fabrizio Romano saying we're negotiating a new deal. It's going to happen. He'll stay, no doubt.
Yeah, 100%. Another player that you build your team, your squad around.
Let's go to a more controversial one. Elanga. We know he's going to be on a long contract. He's only after arriving in the summer. It's been a slow build, to say it mildly. But what are you doing with Elanga?
Honestly, lads, I think we're in a position where we have to keep him, rather than want to keep him. Look, he hasn't been good at Newcastle United. He's really struggled, and he hasn't really got consistently better over the course of the season. It hasn't got better at all, and I just feel like we are in a position where we're not going to get the sort of fee that we need to be able to justify selling him for at least a couple of seasons. If you're going to get someone that's going to loan him for a year, then great, but I don't even feel like that's even going to happen. So I think he stays purely because there's no other option, in my opinion.
Chris?
Yeah, I can't see us. A little bit of a Yoane Wissa issue. It's about roughly the same price. And that was my concern with Yoane Wissa. But yeah, in terms of Anthony Elanga, I don't see him going anywhere because I don't think anybody is going to pay anywhere near the book value, which would probably be about 42 million. I just don't see it. So Anthony Elanga will be with us next season.
Well, let's put him in there in the keep cell because we're not going to be able to trade. Let's go to Jacob Murphy next, boys. Let me check what his contract's on. Jacob Murphy. Does he have much longer left?
What, 1 year left?
1 year?
Is it 1 year? Is it 27?
27, yeah. So he's one more year left.
Well, go on, Pete. Go on, mate.
No. Look, for me, it's very simple. I'm going to keep it quick. We need to move on. Jacob Murphy. Ideally, we should have moved him on in the summer after his kind of exploits, 20 GA, brilliant season. He was never ever, as Fumby said in the other show the other day, he was never ever going to recoup that same level of play. We all knew it. We all hoped it wasn't the case, but we all really knew it deep down. It was never going to be the case. It was going to replicate that, and he hasn't. And it's time to move on.
Time to move on, right? Let's put him in the cell so while we still can get a value.
It's got to be the right price, Baz. I said at the end of last season, boys. I mentioned about Jacob Murphy and him going off the back of that fantastic season. He had to. He was never going to replicate it, as Fumby mentioned the other day. And we needed to move on from Jacob Murphy last season. Unfortunately, it was a Miggy Almiron. We didn't sell at the right time. And now we're going to have to take a hit on him a little bit in terms of what we could have got for him. But yeah, he needs to move on, Jacob Murphy. We need to get a new right winger in. And Anthony Elanga's not going anywhere.
I don't think with 1 year left and his age as well, we're not going to be hanging out for a massive fee either. So if we want to trade or else risk losing him walking out for nothing, we kind of have to sell but yeah, either or yeah. Look, we're saying he's on the way out. I don't want to confuse him with Alex here now, so I'm going to go to in the chat. I'm going to go to Jacob Ramsey then next, and then Alex Murphy. So Jacob Ramsey, boys. He's only with us a year. He's starting to show signs. For me, I'm keeping him and see how can he develop more under Eddie Howe.
Jacob Ramsey, absolutely keep. I think he'll become a good player at Newcastle United. I think he'll get more game time next year as well. So, yeah, no brainer.
Same, Chris?
Same for me, mate. Yeah, I don't think Jacob Ramsey goes anywhere. And hopefully we'll see even more of him next season and he'll be even better.
We're going to go to a few fringe players now, boys. Well, Alex Murphy, for me, I'm putting him in the loan category. Needs game time. He's even said it himself. Fairness. So I think that's fair. And he should have been on loan this season. Leo Schär, again, loan. He needs game time. If we're buying in another centre back, what are you thinking?
I think he's got to go on loan. I just don't think he'll get much opportunity. I think we're going to bring in that new right back. Let's assume Tino Livramento stays. That would make Leo Schär third choice right back. And I just don't think he'll go anywhere. So I think he needs to go out on loan, go and play in the Championship, and let's have a good look at him.
Yeah.
I think Leo Schär will stay at the club.
Oh, is he?
For the fact that Kraft is leaving. And I think he'll become right back. For that reason, what better way to blood in a young player than make him third choice, let him be first team player, training with the boys every week. I know he's been training a lot with them this season anyway, but training as first choice, getting potentially more game time, whether it's Carabao Cup, FA Cup, etc., but giving at least for the first 6 months an exposure to proper first team football and training every week, and then evaluating it and going like that did with Alex Murphy in the early parts, is that getting to January and going, right, okay, it's ready for you to get a move, but initially keeping him at the club and letting him grow with the team as a third choice. I think it just makes sense to keep him.
Right, and so Leo Schär takes on the Alex Murphy role, really. So that's fair enough for me. And yes, Foxy, I'll be at that testimonial for Alex Murphy in 2032. Like that. Right, let's go to Sean Neve. I think he needs to get out loan and in first team. Yeah, let's go with that loan time. Park so loan as well.
Yeah, potentially. Or he stays with the under-21s. One of the two. I can't see him breaking into the first team, if I'm honest. So, yeah, it's either loan or play with the under-21s.
Any thoughts, Pete?
He needs to play men's football. He needs to go out alone.
Let's go there. Harrison Ashby, get out of my club. No offense to the lad, but he hasn't done that. He's been here a while now. He hasn't done anything. I don't think he's. And even though I know Eddie tried to convert him into a midfielder at one point or a defensive midfielder, I don't think it's happened.
He must be about 23, 24 now. Ashby must be. He signed with Shelby, didn't he? He signed at the same time as Shelby.
He's 23, I think. He's 20. He just needs to go. He just needs to move on.
Yeah.
Get out of my club. And Matt Target, I think, is already on the way out.
He's already gone. Yeah, he's already gone.
Yeah. Just put him in for fun. Boys, that is it. And look, what I'll do, rather than looking at the graphical form here, let's look at it in just remove the pictures so it's easier to read. Hang on. And I'll refresh that. Should work.
How many first team players are we left with? That's what I'm interested to see. And that'll should indicate how many players we need.
This is it. We've got 12 players that we're saying keep and wants to stay. We've got saying 4 players to sell and wants to leave, or more, or in that category. We're saying we have 3 players in the deal if the price is right. We've got 3 players in the loan needs game time or take up another loan option, and we've got 6 in the get out of my club or are leaving anyway. So that is where we are. we need to. That's an awful lot of trading, boys, to bulk up our squad again into season 26-27.
It's not like, because I need to shoot in just a second. So I'm just going to say this really quickly. I don't think that is like out of the realms of possibility. We've got 12 in there that we're going to keep. We've got 4 in there that could potentially leave, or maybe wants to leave. You know, so you're looking at 16 players there. You're looking at 19 with regards to the ones that if there's a deal right. So then you're looking at a 25-man squad. You're looking at 6 player difference to fit that squad.
Yeah,
anywhere between 6 and 8 players this summer, which is what's been talked about with regards to Craig Hope, is about right. That is about right in terms of what we need to do in terms of our business. Like the 4 and the 3 in the 2 categories outside of the 12. There's a high chance that there's a very high chance that not all of those players are going to leave. In fact, I'll say not all of those players are going to leave. There's a high chance that the majority of those players stay, and only maybe 2 or 3 max leave. So you've then leaving yourself with a squad of 16 players. So then you're looking at maybe 9 or so, if you're thinking about it, to sign or improve. That's forgetting about any of the promotions of young players into the squad. I think that's about right. I don't think that's an issue, and I think that could work personally.
I agree.
Yeah, so they just updated the picture there because it didn't when I removed the pictures. It didn't 4 players, but yeah, this is the end result. But yeah, no, interesting discussion, boys, and interesting. Thanks a lot for everyone as well for playing along at home and being a part of it. Any more comments we need to go to, Chris?
We've got 2 super chats, which I want to just quickly go to. So LT says, thank you very much, LT, for the super chat. He says, sell the turncoats. And I can't disagree with that, LT. I cannot disagree with that. And also Ian Mack says, if Howe goes, Gordon will get sold, in my opinion, package. So which is interesting. It's interesting. So in Ian's opinion, if Eddie Howe goes, so will Anthony Gordon. So I'm assuming from Ian's comment that if Eddie Howe stays, Anthony Gordon stays. So yeah.
Things can chop and change. It's still only the 29th of March, of course, but we've gone out early with this. But yeah, we're going to be back with plenty more fully loaded transfer show. This is kind of the kickoff. Then we kind of go wide, and then we go narrow, and we might zone in certain areas. We get a few guests in as well. Things will chop and change. There'll be a few sagas. But listen, that's what the summer is all about. That's it. Thanks for sticking with us. We'll see you on the next one. Good night, everyone. Bye-bye.
She said, hola, ¿cómo está? She said, konnichiwa. She said, pardon my French. I said, bonjour, madame. And then she says, say, and I say, no, lay. No matter where I go, you know I love them all. She said, hola, ¿cómo está? Said, konnichiwa. She said, pardon my French. I said, bonjour, madame. And she says, say, and I say, no, lay. No matter where I go, you know I love them all. I'm feeling kinda young, I'm feeling reckless. Let me hold you, let me grab you by the necklace. I'll show you what the good loving and sex is. It turns you on when I got you feeling helpless. And I'ma eat you up for dinner, lunch and breakfast. Bring your friends along cause they are on the guest list. We can fool around I'm breathless. Hold off the drinks, how my body feeling selfless. She's telling me this, she's telling me that. You said you take me with you and you never go back. Now I got a lesson that I wanna teach. I'ma show you that where you from, it don't matter to me. She said, hola, 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 ¿cómo está? She's hola, 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 hola. You know I love them all.